Okay, this is an interview for the Writing in Digital Environments. And our first question is, please tell us who you are and what do you do?
Okay, I am Patricia Jordan, and I am the Library Director at Spartanburg Community College.
Okay. How does your work involving writing in digital environments?
Well, a lot of writing, because we've got 3, soon to be 4 campuses, so I'm dealing with staff that I don't always see, so I do a lot of writing by email. I'm dealing with faculty that I don't always get a chance to see face-to-face, so there's a lot of email communication. And then as we work with the students, we have a lot of online students or students where they're not coming in for library orientation, so we create online tutorials, things like that for them. So it involves quite a bit.
Okay. And how does what you do involve more traditional pre-digital forms of writing?
Well, it's really mostly email. I mean, I might send a note to a staff member, make a note when I'm sending something in interoffice mail to a faculty member, but a lot of it is really email or maybe the phone. But you don't really send notes anymore.
Okay. What tools and technical skills do you use most often in your work? Tell me a story about a situation in which those tools and skills are most useful.
Okay, well, of course, email, but as more and more of our students have taken online classes, we've started to use resources. For example, we use Panopto, which is an open source video editing software, and I've used Snagit to create tutorials where I'll do capture pictures and be able to manipulate the pictures, add screen captions and things like that, and Adobe Captivate. And I'm getting an example of that is the College 103. That's the introduction to college skills that a lot of students take, and they have an information literacy assignment, and we worked with the instructors to create a series of worksheets that students would do to introduce them to research, but also introduce them to career resources. And because each worksheet involved a different type of skill, using the library catalog, using the databases, we couldn't do all those classes face-to-face, so we created a lot of online tutorials for those, and that's been very helpful. So the students will come at the beginning and we'll just do the traditional face-to-face class, and then for the other ones, they'll watch the videos and work on the worksheets on their own.
Okay. And how has your job changed over the time as new digital technologies have been adopted?
Oh, quite a bit. I can just tell you, just from being, when I was a student, where you'd go online to get to the books through the catalog, but if you wanted a magazine or a newspaper, you'd have to use the print resources. And then when I was a graduate student, you had the online databases, but still there was no full text. So you would use those instead of the print indexes. You'd use the online databases to search, and then you'd still go to the print magazines and journals. And then when I started working in the library, you had the online databases, everything you got through online, and even now there's streaming videos. We're starting to have more streaming videos where the students will, instead of coming and checking out the DVD, they'll actually view it online from home or from their classroom. So everything's changed. Even how they do the online tutorials, we do a lot more videos than we would have been able to when I first started, just because the software is better. You can do a lot more for a lot less.
Okay. And have you adapted to those changes?
Oh yeah, and all our English 101 students now have to do an online library tutorial because we have several sections of English 101 and we can't meet with all of them. So we created an online tutorial with some of the basic skills, a little bit more in depth than the College 103, and all of those students have to do that tutorial. We have online classes where we've created tutorials for that. So yeah, you just adapt. You just do what you have to do.
And do you see more understanding by getting face-to-face?
I really think and this may be me being old school, but I think there's no substitute for that hands-on and that one-on-one, that face-to-face. You can teach and you can show, but I think something is lost when you don't have that face-to-face. And part of it really just depends on the students, because you'll have students where they'll zoom through the tutorial and not really pay attention just so they can get to the quiz, and you'll have ones that'll take notes and everything. So I think it really depends on the student. The thing with it being online is a lot more responsibilities placed on the student.
And what changes do you anticipate happening in the future as new digital technologies are introduced?
Well, for my end as a librarian, I can see that the what a book is, I can see that becoming confusing, because you have online resources and you have print resources. I see those just kind of melding into one, where it's harder to tell what something is when it goes to citing it or evaluating it and things like that. I see a lot of things moving online. I don't see print going away. I think because I think, again, I still think something's lost, but I see more things going online.
How is your website important to your work?
Oh, it's essential. In anything, you have to go through the website. To find the books, you have to go through the website and the catalog. We spent a lot of time a few years ago changing it and simplifying the website, trying to make it so that somebody coming in, they may not know what a catalog is, but they'd know where to go to find books. They may not know what databases are, but they'd know where to go to find articles. So we kept it very simple. In fact, if you go to our pages, it says find articles, find books, find citation help. And I was adamant about it being that way because I wanted to be able to say it's ABCs of research. And then over on one side it's got catalog, database. It has more of the library lingo, so we try to keep it as simple as possible, but it's essential to what we do now. You can't run a library without a website now.
Do you ever use any social media like Facebook or Twitter, either in your work or just to communicate with other librarians or other libraries across the country?
No, we did have, the library did have a Facebook page, but the person who ran that, she left, and we just didn't have the staff for it. But what we use more often is we actually have a wiki that we use. It's internal, and what would happen is you get a lot of assignments where you see them over and over again through the semesters. And what would happen is someone would come and they'd mention something and be like, oh yeah, I remember, someone sent out an email about that, so I'd search in my email trying to find, well, let's see, what did they do to find, what were the good sources on that? That was only helpful to me. So when Catherine came, who's our new public services librarian a few years ago, she did some searching and she created a wiki for us. So if, let's say, Dr. Evans has an assignment and we found it was really hard to find sources, we could type in some notes, and then somebody else comes in and says, oh, I have an assignment for Dr. Evans, it's this. They could go to the wiki, type it up, and then see where someone put their notes and then add to it. So it's been really nice, especially again because we've got library staff at the Cherokee campus and the Tiger River campus. It's a nice way to keep track of that. I think.
Do you measure the impact of the choices you make in using social media or your website or traditional print publications?
Oh yeah, a library lives and dies by its stats. So we try to measure everything we use. We recently switched to Google Analytics on our website so we could see where people were getting to the links. In fact, we actually changed. We realized when we were looking at our stats on our literature databases that one of the databases, which wasn't the best one all the time to use, was getting used a lot. And we realized it's because it was first, because it was alphabetical. So we changed the listing of those databases. Instead of listing them alphabetical, we list them by what usually is the most useful database for your typical literature database research, and we found that affected things. So yeah, we use statistics a lot. Librarian lives and dies by statistics.
What would you say are the most significant advantages of working with digital technology and media?
I think the first one is really being able to reach more students, because again, they're not always going to come for a face-to-face orientation. Be able to do something good and then have it captured where you could use it again, or look at it and then revise it, and being able to put it out in a lot of places at once.
What would you say the most significant disadvantages of the digital tools and networks are?
Well, I would just say, I think, like I said, I think just something is lost when you don't have that face-to-face, when you don't get to sit down with someone and really make sure that their needs are met. Because the thing with doing a tutorial is it's basically done one way. I mean, somebody can go through it faster than someone else, but when you're doing face-to-face, you can kind of get a feel for where your audience is and whether you need to slow down or focus on one aspect. So I think just a little bit of that human touch is lost. It becomes a little bit more impersonal than I'd like.
What advice would you have for someone who is still completing their college education and wants to eventually do the kind of work that you do?
I definitely would tell them get as much experience as you can, get as much library experience as you can, and also try work at if you can, visit different libraries, see what you want to do, because what I do as an academic librarian is very different than what somebody would do as a public librarian. In fact, what I do as a 2-year college librarian is very different than what somebody working in a four-year institution would do. I'm a library director, but I still work the reference desk. I still interact with students, whereas if I was at a bigger institution, I may never see a student. So just find out what kind of library you want to work in and get as much experience as possible teaching. You're dealing with the patrons, because that's really what's important. That's what they're going to look at when they look at your application.
Do you enjoy the atmosphere of the smaller libraries more?
I do. Because I think in a bigger institution you get compartmentalized, and here I get to do a bit of everything. So every day is a little bit different, and I'm always working with the students, which is the fun of it, is being able to help somebody and knowing that you've done by the end of the day, know you've done something important because you've been helping people.